Hey there, you amazing patrons. It's X, and I'm here with Kyle and Felicia. We are working on getting special guests. Don't worry, people. We're just having more fun. That's what we do this for. We do it to have a good time.
Right.
And this is the Utah Outcasts Secret Patron Show. This is the special content we provide to those who give us at least $1 a month. So generous, guys. We love you so much for it.
Spendy.
Yeah.
Well, we did get a new patron who jumped in at the $20 a month level, and I'm like, holy shit, man.
That is
Like, talk to us some more. We want to know about you.
Yeah, tell us who you are and
Yeah.
You are
what you want.
You are the
What you
labia
want.
majora to our show.
I don't think that's how it works, Kyle.
That's not how it works. The labia majora are also just there. They're just usually more even. It's okay. That the metaphor doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. It's a dead metaphor. If you listen to the uncut show, before we even started on this, we were making all sorts of labial
and if you
jokes.
pay $20, I hope you are.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy everything that we make terrible jokes about. So
That one went on.
So talking about terrible jokes, let's talk about the Australian that won't go away, that somehow found his way to America and keeps setting up shitty theme parks in Central America. Oh, not Central America, wherever you want to call them. The Central USA.
Mr. Ham?
Mr. Ken Ham, were you there?
Ham.
Were you there?
Mr. Ham?
The guy who even Australia doesn't want back.
No,
I've offered
nobody
to
wants
give it
back. Yeah.
Our Aussie friends were like, "Hey, you guys can come claim him if you want." Like, no, he's not ours anymore.
Nah.
Nah, mate.
Nah.
And so some of his older stuff has been taken off of YouTube, but you can't really find it anywhere. Thankfully, there's enough Christians out there that still love spreading his stuff around. And I found a video.
He's still unfortunately easy to find.
No, this person's avatar on YouTube is a heart surrounding like the Jewish flag, the Israel flag, and it's just like, yeah, that's either Christian, a really good Poe or this person's really Christian.
Oh, come on. Yeah. No.
It's hard to tell anymore. It really is fucking hard to tell in 2018.
They are a parody of themselves.
Not even Jews would do that. So,
well, yeah, it's like,
well, we know it's not a Jew. We know it's not a Jew. So,
like, one of my favorite types of comedies for years and years and years was like obvious satire. Like The Onion was fucking amazing, great to read.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this reality where I can't tell what's real anymore.
Dude, okay, so I saw a headline today. It was like, school plans to oppose school shooters by having buckets of rocks in classroom. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I scroll up a little bit and it was
and it's real.
Not The Onion. And I look at it, it was KSL 5. I was like,
yeah, it's not.
This is legit news. What the fuck is wrong with our country right now?
Buckets of rocks.
Let's stone them.
Rocks. Although, to be fair, probably more effective than a firearm.
No, but not more deadly.
I just want a handful of gravel. That would probably sting a little bit faster.
True. Yeah.
No, let's just go Dale Gribble. Let's just go full on Dale Gribble and give everybody pocket sand. Everybody gets fucking pocket sand.
Everyone gets pocket
every teacher. Pocket sand for every teacher.
And they have to all be wearing the mirrored shades that flip up.
That's it.
Pocket sand.
Okay, there we go. I finally found the hill. I finally found the hill I'm going to die on.
I want you to
for every teacher.
You guys, this isn't that far off anymore.
We're not.
Oh my god! Wow.
So bringing it back to Ken Ham. This video is titled "What Really Happened to the Dinosaur?"
They died.
Evolved. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the straightforward answer. But
most died. Some evolved. That's how we have a chicken.
The funniest thing about these Christians, the really hardcore evangelical ones that are the creationist Christians. I almost tried to portmanteau the words like creations. Creations. Yeah. Christians. Yeah, I'm owning my fuck up on that one.
We're turning into like evil villains more and more. I'm like, Christians over there with X. Like, yeah, we're just turning into evil villains here on the show. And
pinky like that.
That's fine. We can do that. That's fine. Do it.
Is that they'll use science when it works for them.
Right.
When it works for them, they'll use science.
Yeah.
But you take it like one step further to what the science actually says. And boy, I had a problem earlier today at one of my kids' schools where they did a science experiment and it came up with different results than what the teacher expected it to show up as. And she's like, well, there must have been problems with the way that you ran the experiment. I'm like, wait a minute. You guys had the conclusion to this experiment before you even let them do the experiment on it to find out what was going on?
No, that's I'm like,
that's not how science works. And I had to teach a teacher how science works. I'm like, you don't start with a conclusion and work the data to find it in that way.
Right.
And I said to her, I'm like, because it was about chewing bubble gum, like which one makes the bigger bubble.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, it's not just the fucking gum. It's the proficiency of the person blowing the bubble, among other things.
Right.
Yeah.
How long it's chewed.
There's a lot of fucking variable. Yeah, because they said chew it for a minute and blow a bubble. I'm like, well, you're not going to be able to get any fucking bubble at a minute.
Variables. Like, what about the hydration of the person chewing? Their natural saliva, saliva production, like
right.
But her conclusion came out with this bubble gum had the best bubble, and I'm like, no, that actually had the worst. And all the kids were confused because she's like, well, there must be something wrong with the methodology that you guys make.
No,
I'm like, that's not how science works.
It's not the methodology. It's the fact that you have too many variables.
It's the fact that you started with the conclusion. You didn't take the data and draw your conclusion from that. You found a conclusion that you wanted.
It sounds like she conducted the experiment herself, got one conclusion, decided that was the universal conclusion, and then there was something wrong. The students did something wrong. It's like, no, you only had a data point. You had one data point.
Well, and my kid was confused. She's like, why were you so mad with the teacher today? I'm like, well, first of all, I wasn't mad. I'm not mad.
No.
You haven't seen me mad. I'm like, you've heard me shout at you guys a couple times before, but that's not mad. You've never seen me like shaking mad, you know? But yeah, I was like just really disheartened that they're trying to do this whole, look, science is awesome. This is how you use the scientific method and fuck everything. And I was this close. I was honestly this close to going, well, kids, let's use this as a teaching moment. What other things do people believe in without any evidence?
Oh, that would have been.
And most of them had BYU shirts.
Who I didn't go see very long. Who he said to me, "Well, not everything we believe is true," and I laughed, and because it was kind of ironic because I did have some incorrect beliefs about myself. And I go, he said to the atheist, and then he changed the subject of what we were talking about. He's like, "You're an atheist." I'm like,
"Oh,
uh-oh.
Yeah,
yeah." He's like, "Yeah, what do you believe?" I'm like, "I thought we were just talking about." How
that's not going to help me going down that route, Mr.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't see him after that.
That's not a rabbit hole that you're going to win. So anyway, we keep doing that thing.
That's when you say, look, if you really want to know, you're going to have to subscribe.
I don't go over
and pay at least $1 a month.
I don't go over my atheist on this show. Fuck, like, because I am.
Okay, so Kinham.
But no. Back to the more important experiment.
Bubblegum.
The more important experiment is which bubblegum is the worst.
Bubble tape was like the worst.
Bubble tape is not the fucking worst. Bubble yum is the absolute worst. Like
we had three different kinds. You had Trident, Extra, and bubble tape.
Well, then bubble tape's going to be the best of both of those because Trident and Extra aren't bubble gum.
No, because Extra does make a classic bubble gum flavor that you can get, and it does blow a good bubble.
Flavor? Okay, we all know.
No. But I'm just telling you that
not a good bubble gum make.
The data was Extra. Was the one that did the best, and then Trident second, and then bubble tape last.
Okay. Well, again, the results.
And also, we weren't accounting for variables like thickness of the gum versus what the volume of gum you're putting in your mouth is, and so this thing was fucking wrong from the get out.
Way wrong. Because first off, that's fucking God damn it.
And also, let's also point out the fact that they gave this experiment to like 8-year-old, 9-year-old kids and trying to get them to blow bubbles out of gum.
Right. No, but
three different times when kids don't have enough fucking interest to do something like that.
No, they don't. But I remember doing this experiment as a kid, but the whole point of the experiment was the big giant bucket of like fucking awful bubble yum. The stuff you give out at Halloween as the last resort.
Oh, super bubble.
Yeah, it's the super bubble. That stuff tastes like shit.
It does taste like shit, but it makes the best bubbles, though.
It is, yes. But the point of the experiment was not...
Especially if you got the green apple flavor.
The point of the experiment is not to find out what size bubble you can make. The point of the experiment was always, how many pieces of this shitty gum can you fit in your mouth and still chew?
Oh, yeah, this one was
When
different.
I was a kid in Catholic school, we grew bean pods.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't the official, like, real reason, but, I mean, really, that's what everybody did.
I'm just glad that I got a teachable moment out of it. I'm like, okay, well, let me explain to you how science works, you know?
Yeah.
Because she really, really wants to be a scientist. And
Right.
we watched The Martian last week, and she fucking loved every minute of it. And I'm like, yes.
Martian's great. But
Except
really,
she said, I don't think I want to be an astronaut. I wouldn't mind working in Capcom, but I don't think I want to be an astronaut. I'm like, you're just as necessary as the guy that was out there.
Yep.
So
Capcom or JPL? Go for No, fuck it. Go work for SpaceX at this point.
yeah, no shit.
I'm sorry, it's the crazy people who go to space. It's just
Right. But I'm sorry, we were talking about Ken Ham.
We're talking Ken Ham. Thank you for bringing it back
we
around.
did the thing. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, and you know what? We're like at 11 minutes. I don't know if we're going to get to it.
Oh, that's fine. If we don't get to Ken Ham, like,
Well, I promised them.
What
and
did he
I've
say?
already-
He promised Ken
Well-
Ham. We've rambled on about things we'd
Yeah.
rather talk about. What did Ken Ham do this time?
Well, let's let it play. Hang on.
What really happened to the dinosaurs?
They died, right?
Many people are perplexed by the topic of dinosaurs. Where did they come from?
First, let me just
Well,
comment. I love the porno music in the background.
Yeah, they got. I can do something exotic to it, like
you probably should. That's the only way this is going to be entertaining.
Okay, who's confused about dinosaurs? Not people that are science-minded. We kind of have a pretty good idea of what happened, you know?
Where did they come from? A
Evolution.
common ancestor, a similar it doesn't matter what the point of that question.
they evolved.
Yeah, you know, I'm more concerned now with not even abiogenesis. I don't care so much about that. I care more about eukaryogenesis when we first started getting the multicellular organisms. You know,
Right.
That's actually super fascinating because apparently some single-celled organisms evolved. Their ancestors evolved to multicellular and then evolved back to single cellular.
Yeah, they did. That was fucking
because
weird.
it's more fucking efficient.
Yeah.
It is more efficient, but there is value in being okay. But evolution.
How they
is
can
weird.
find
Right.
how they can
Right.
find yeast that's like 3 million years old
Right,
and then
okay,
cultivate it back to life.
That is exactly what I was talking about with yeast.
Right.
Love
Right.
it. All right,
Right.
back to Ken. Let's.
Okay.
When did they live? What happened to them? You see, when you dig up a dinosaur skeleton, it doesn't come with a label attached saying, "Hi, I'm 65 million years old, and this is what happened to me." We have
No, that's why there's strata
Yes.
around it.
No,
You know,
yes, they do. They absolutely
Yeah,
do.
they do. It's called
But
carbon
you
dating.
need to know how to read the data,
Right.
and find the label.
Yeah, you have
The
to
labels,
understand
the
rate.
labels are fucking there.
Okay, there's a rate at which carbon decays,
Yeah.
and by comparing
and
the rate of carbon
carbon-
decay versus the
carbon-
age of the bones,
Yeah.
it labels it with how old it is. So
Mhm.
there,
well, and we don't even use carbon for
No,
like
no, it's-
millions and millions of years ago. It's like potassium, argon, and like some other like harder ones. that-
And lead.
yeah.
Lead
no,
is
you're
the big.
absolutely right. Okay, as I was saying, I was like, I don't think carbon lasts that long.
Yeah, carbon doesn't last that long.
But we still know the decay of other.
of other isotopes. Yes, we know
Yeah,
exactly.
so-
all isotopes have a decay rate.
Yeah, and we can kind of measure that in real time, and then
And they're
stick it
kinda
standard
everywhere.
across all things, and account
every
for
time.
variables.
It's not that hard. Again, the labels are there. You just need to know how to read them.
And then
You
comparative, and then through
fuck.
comparative, and then through comparison, we can estimate a reasonable length of time.
Right.
All right, I'm gonna let the hand
Oh, and then
meister
also the
speak some more.
strata in which they were buried,
Right.
and
Please. Back to the porn music with the bad
You
science.
have to interpret that skeleton in relation to the past. So where did dinosaurs come from? What happened to them? When did they live? I want to show you that when you take God at his word in the book of Genesis, that we can explain dinosaurs, and observational science actually confirms that explanation based upon the Bible.
What the fuck? No.
But you weren't there. You weren't there, Ken. You weren't there.
yeah, you were there.
No.
You can't call it observational science. I hate his fucking.
God
Is
damn
there
it.
such a thing as observational science? Observation is a part of science, right? Like
Look,
that's a
yeah.
part of the scientific process. But there's no. Is there such a thing as observational science?
No.
Yeah, it's called making sea monkeys.
Well, no, not really. No, because it's a fucking term he made up. It's a meaningless
Right.
term. But more importantly,
Observation is just a
God damn
part
it,
of science.
Ken,
Science.
you're ruining the porn music.
It really is, because I was focusing on that. And it's actually pretty good.
It's actually
I could
good,
do.
nice.
It's not
I
bad.
could actually
It's
do
not
some
bad, but
really nice.
fuck.
I could really, because like it's got like these nice beats. You could do like a good
Yeah.
heel clap. Like
It's
quite good.
Yeah, you can. There's some rhythm to that.
But he said that if you take God and his word at the first book of Genesis, like what?
And then why would I do
Why
that?
should we?
Why?
Who wrote that? Oh, God inspired it. Okay, how?
By what?
Matter.
Why?
I don't know, man.
Like,
what the
If you
fuck,
take God
kid?
at his word, but then why should I?
Why can't I take
But-
Batman at his word?
By the way,
seriously, I trust Batman more than I do the God of the Bible.
About Buddha, huh?
I'm so,
And the
if
earth
approach-
being born
if
from a
you-
lotus.
if you approach any data set with a preconceived conclusion,
Oh, hey,
it's going to fucking change how you interpret the information.
Weird.
well, we kind of
Almost
talked.
like-
Well, it's amazing that we had that to talk about before we even started
Wow,
this.
it actually
Almost-
ties in. That was really
Almost
good.
like we planned it. Wait, no, that's scientific method. It's the same no matter what the fuck you do.
We knew where he was going with it.
All right, hang on.
See, the Bible tells us that God made the land animals on day 6 of creation.
It also says that he separated light from dark before he created a sun.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
and bats are birds, so whatever.
and the stars are not actually other suns. They're
yeah,
just,
no, they're just
No,
light.
they're just stars. They're just things that are out there.
They're
But
li- they're
and then
lights
the
up in the
moon
sky.
is its own light.
no,
source.
don't forget. He also created plants before the sun.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
you're right.
he created man and
Light
woman
before
and
the
all
sun.
the animals on the same day, but then he
Right.
didn't.
But then he didn't. But that's okay. It's
Well, let's not forget Adam's first wife, Lilith. That
right.
I kind of just fucking
She
passed
was
right over
not
that.
submissive. Was her big malfunction?
Right.
Mhm.
But more importantly, if you're a fucking all-powerful god, why do you need 6 fucking days to get to this point?
Yeah.
Well, you see, Kyle, the
But
6
also-
days is just, the equivalent of how many millions of years it is on a
Right,
planet.
it's
Right,
like-
Right. We're talking god days.
Yeah, I've heard that apologetic. I used to say that one to people sometimes. Maybe a day for God is like
I
100
know. I
million
did
years,
too. I did too.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Because if you're a fucking god,
I had
relevant.
I had an exchange with Lucian Greaves earlier this week via Twitter. Twitter's fucking awesome. Can we talk about Twitter some more? I love Twitter. So in Arkansas, where the guy ran his truck into the 10 Commandments statue that was up there.
Yeah.
So they've got it fixed up, and they put security bollards in front of it.
Back together.
They're going to put security bollards in front of the 10 Commandments thing, and I'm like, what a fucking miserable, stupid god this is that it needs security bollards to protect its word.
What? Yeah, this god sucks.
What a
Oh.
weak ass god.
I went out with a Christian. I went out with a Christian guy. And I forgot he was Christian before we went out. And somehow we got on the topic of God, and he was like, well, maybe we just don't understand how God works. I'm like, well, then God is evil. Or he's like, oh, no, what he said was, I believe that, like, all of the great teachers tapped into, like, another level of thinking. And I was like, then they're evil. And he went, what? And I went, yeah, they tap into, like, this great wisdom of don't kill each other, but they don't tell us how to cure cancer or to how to keep kids from, like, having worms eat out their eyeballs. I'm like, no, they're evil. They didn't give us anything that people hadn't given us before, that people just figured out on their own.
With
No.
this guy, I would have like if he would have said that whole tapped into something, I would be like,
It's time to stop, okay?
And he went, because I thought he was just being, like, hypothetical.
Right.
And he wasn't. He was being literal. And so I just, like, burst out with, like, God's evil. And he was just like, I've never thought of that. I'm like,
But an even better one when they do that is go, so Darwin, was he tapped into God?
oh, just like Jesus and Muhammad, and like a feel good be nice to each other, and we're going to ignore the parts where Jesus told people to sell their cloak and buy a sword.
I don't care. He doesn't care. I don't care.
Who determined that the origin of the universe didn't require a god?
But
No,
that's the
yeah,
whole point. That's what we're
something.
getting back
Yeah.
to, right? It's like Ken
Yeah.
Right.
so to circle it back, Ken is presupposing that
Right.
that these things are self-evident, that God is obvious, and so we have to believe this particular storytelling. And there's so many people who buy into that so fast. They're like, "Oh, I do trust the word of God," and that's why we ask the question, why?
Yeah. What?
I
Where?
envision us watching the salty videos here soon, where we're watching the kids' Bible stories and stuff. We're gonna bring up one of those on a Patron show.
No.
Salty
damn it.
songbook?
Salty songbook. Yep,
Okay.
we're doing it.
Fuck
We're
you,
doing
Lex.
it. We're gonna do it.
Okay.
Watch this space. Pay $1 a month and you can get it before everybody else.
Put the porn music back on.
Yeah, porn
Yeah.
music.
That's
And
good.
who else was created on day 6? Well, Adam and Eve. And how long ago was that? Well, when you add up all the dates in the Bible, about 6,000 years. So, taking God at his word in Genesis, dinosaurs lived beside people about 6,000 years ago.
No, they didn't.
That's just laughable. To hear an adult person say that is fucking laughable.
I'm sorry, I really wasn't paying attention until he said that dinosaurs lived with people about 6,000 years ago.
Kyle's science brain is broken on this one.
I can't.
How someone reaches an age as this guy and still believes that, you know?
He doesn't. He knows better.
That's what the scary thing is. I think he does.
I can't. To the porn music and everything.
I'm sorry, but I love the idea of me like exotic dancing. I hope he sees this, or I'm over here like, and like.
Well, he's already blocked us on Twitter, so we can't see any of his stuff anymore. So
on Twitter.
Yes. And you're grinding so well, and then he brings in
Yeah.
this dinosaur thing. It
I know
totally,
it's like
it totally kills the mood. I don't.
it does. It really does.
How does this
That's
guy
why-
ever get laid?
He doesn't. Kind of.
Well,
not with his
I've
beard
seen the
growing
beard.
into his eyeballs that he's got
Beard
going
is
on.
the
that-
weirdest fucking thing. Okay,
he is a Neanderthal. He is Neanderthal. God.
that's where
And they
all
were
the
vegetarian
different-
to start with. Genesis chapter 1 verse 29 tells us that all the animals are vegetarian. But then
All
Adam
of them.
sinned, and because of sin, everything changed. The whole of creation now groans because of sin. In fact, after the event of Noah's flood, God told Noah that now humans could eat meat, could eat animal flesh. But before that time, they were instructed only to be vegetarian.
The music is just, it's overpowering this
I'm
right now.
sorry. It's really, really pointy.
You know, I've got a karaoke
doing
mode on my,
I'm
on
doing
my
way
mixer
too
over
well
here.
to that music. That's super duper. Like I think it's supposed to be soothing, but like they've got these like clicks in there that I'm like, I there's a song I'm gonna have to play for you guys. Like
we would get
It sounds
kicked
just
out
like that.
of the fucking Creation Museum. We would be kicked out. We would be escorted out of that fucking place.
we need to do this. We like all need GoPros. We need to do this. It's
Just
gotta-
walking around and start reading something on the wall and be like, get the fuck out of here. Or just laughing like Kyle is right now to this. I can't help it. It's terrible.
So sometime after sin, obviously animals started changing their diets as well. Then the Bible tells us that there was a global flood and 2 of every kind of land-dwelling, air-breathing animal
Why
went
were
on board
your
the
pointy
boat
teeth
that Noah
then?
built, Noah's Ark.
All right, I'm supposed to be dancing.
A shark would have a really fucking hard time eating a salad, guys.
Cats are obligate carnivores and have been for a real long time. And he says they're kinds, right? So cats existed.
Kinds.
Kinds.
Eat
So
the
there was cats.
kind thing.
There were yes,
Cats have to eat meat. They just
right.
have to. And then he's like, sin made them crave flesh. And the cats are over
Apparently-
there going like,
Wait, that's code right there. That's sin makes you crave the dick.
Oh, there it is. And then it all comes back to it. That's why the porn music.
That's he's trying to get those Christian ladies to thirst and show a little bit of shoulder. Lordy! All right, here we go.
Now, people often say, wait a minute, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dinosaur kinds.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds.
Did the math once? There was millions of species at the time of the flood. If we include all the dinosaurs, like millions of species of just animal. I wasn't talking plant or fungus or lichen, which are vital to the survival of life on this planet that could not survive a global flood. But then, I've been over this. If God made those survive, if God's so we could just say, okay, God magicked those ones and said, okay, the lichen and the fungus and the plants are all just going to survive underwater. Why not do that for all the fucking animals?
Right. And please don't forget about the mixing of salt and fresh water and
brackish water would not work.
No,
guys.
Everything's dead.
Everything.
Yeah, like that.
Well, I mean, you'd have some things survive. Like some dolphins would be okay.
Oh yeah, the dolphins would be.
Cetaceans would be
The
all right.
dolphins would be like, haha, fuck you guys.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
The salmon would be fine.
Yeah.
Can dolphins survive without salt water? I thought they needed salt water.
No. Dolphins can fucking adapt.
Yeah, same. Most sea mammals are usually okay with.
You know what? That
brackish
makes
water.
sense. That actually makes sense. That sea mammals would be fine with brackish water. Especially because a lot of them will travel up rivers a little bit.
Yeah, like you can get lobsters and crabs to survive in both kinds of water too. But
the bull sharks are good at brackish.
Yeah, I mean it's not as like straight up like automatically dead kind of thing. But it would most fish like tropical fish would
most freshwater fish
they would not have a good time.
You got your salmon. Some of your salmon can do it.
If anybody's ever had a saltwater tank, you realize how fucking hard it is to maintain that. So, yeah.
It matters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll play just a couple more seconds because I'm done with this shit.
Sure.
No, there might be hundreds of dinosaur names, and many of those names are given to different variations within a dinosaur kind. But when you actually work through it, there's probably less than 50 dinosaur kinds. The T-Rex type kind, the Raptor type kind,
There was not
the T-Rex type kind. Do you really need to say both? Do you really need to say type kind?
I'm sorry. He has to get 100 T-Rex on the boat. 100, because there was 50. There was 50 kind. T-Rex type kind. Did I hear that correctly? I wasn't type perfectly
kind.
listening.
No, he wasn't. Did
he say there was 50 type of a kind of T-Rex?
First of all, hundreds of hundreds. You just like.
So that's 100. That's 100 T-Rex.
Ken, do you realize how fucking big this planet is? I mean, we're a tiny planet, but still.
No. He has no idea.
We're basically the teeny tiny spider I saw in my sink. And we're big for this planet. We're on like the top 10% large mammals on this planet. Sure.
Some of us more than others.
His ignorance of the world is
it's staggering.
His ignorance of the world would not fit on his fucking ark. Okay.
That's a big
if we
put, not a boat.
I mean, that's a lot. That's not that much ignorance, actually. I mean, like.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but the ark
actually,
is
okay. No, that
you know it's.
Wait, no, that's actually yeah. His ark is not that big. It's only like half a boat.
No, it's not that big, but it's still pretty big. You know, as far as like if you could like make a physical manifestation of ignorance.
Of inadequacy,
up and then some.
Of inadequacy and ignorance, you could put it on a boat.
Methinks Ken Ham is deeply insecure. Is honestly what it comes down to.
Oh yeah, of course.
And
I'm just gonna armature psychologist this.
I love how they call it an ark and they call it a boat. We need to stop calling it a boat. It's a building. It really is a building.
Yeah,
and it's a facade of the other half of the building too. Yeah, that's the great thing about it.
That's why I said it's half a boat, not even a whole boat.
Right.
And even if it was a whole boat, it couldn't float. Mm-hmm. So, there's that.
Right. And it has
so we're
if God magics that's supposed to boat that shouldn't float to float, then why make the boat in the first place? And why not just pick the things that you want to stay alive, and then kill everything else? Why flood the fucking planet? I'm telling you, this God's a crazy person, and if he's real, no one. It's Donald Trump.
All I'm hearing right now is X, Kyle, Felicia, you guys need to start a GoFundMe to get your trip to this place.
We really do. We really do.
We do.
We really do. I'm going to show way too much boob.
But then we would actually have to go to this point.
There's like podcasters in Oklahoma we could hang out with, right?
I'm sure we could find people. It's fine. We could find people.
Well, no, there's people in Oklahoma, but it's Kentucky.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they're all terrible.
Yeah.
There's this whole quarter of the country that's just awful.
It's all the same, and it's all
awful and terrible. Really, we're being facetious.
We are joking.
Yes.
We're from Utah.
Yeah, as if we have any fucking room to talk.
Yes,
like that's the
right. Throwing stones.
Glass house.
In a glass house, yes.
Right here, glass house.
So if you guys want to go see the rest of it, there's like 2 more minutes of that. We're not playing it because why?
Okay, but no, I got a song. After we go, like I'm gonna play a song for you guys. Really.
All right, so thanks everybody for listening. We're gonna catch you next week with another patron show. Hopefully you enjoyed that, especially the science talk. I love science talk. But we'll catch you next week with another one. See ya.